As we normally do, is talking some Lobo volleyball. Lobo volleyball won against Wyoming in 3 sets on Thursday, won against Colorado State in 4 sets on Saturday. Elizabeth Woods named Freshman of the Week for the 2nd time this season. Elena Molden was named Defensive Player of the Week for the 3rd time this season. UNM now has 7 Conference Weekly Awards to lead the conference this season. We'll start off with a statement and then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Really wasn't quite sure what to expect seeing Colorado State and Wyoming again heading into last week. I think we had a good week of training, but we knew that we had a good week of training going into the first time we played them at their places, and I really wasn't quite sure which version of the Lobos was going to be there, and it was incredible to see that the response that they had and kind of the theme that they had for the entire week was this idea of redemption week, and hey, we're going to go get back after these two teams, and that wasn't coming from us, the coaches. That was coming purely self-generated from the team. And with that, I think there was this internal drive that, hey, we're just going to go and we're going to go get redemption, and we're going to go prove a point to this league that we're here and that we're ready to take a big step forward in the quality of opponents that we're playing and beating, but also the quality of play that we're playing and the quality of volleyball that we're playing. And so two massive wins, 2 huge steps for our program. We definitely have not arrived at anything because we went back and looked at film, and we had meetings with players all day yesterday saying, here are some massive areas of the game that we can still go get better at. And it's nice to know, hey, beating the first place team and beating a perennial powerhouse in the Mountain West, that there are still areas of the game that we still feel that we can address and that we can develop. So it was a solid weekend, and we're fired up on that, but it was momentary because we know that this week is just as big with Utah State, Boise State, and they're 2 really, really tough teams. So we're excited to get back on the road tomorrow.
And as you look ahead for the rest of the schedule, how encouraging is it for you that your guys were like, no, we ain't going out like that?
Yeah.
Back and punched them in the face.
Exactly. I think the reality is, man, when we finished those 2 matches up there, I think we were scratching our heads going, hey, how did we get swept by these 2 teams? We're a good team, and we know they're good teams, but getting swept, in the fashion that we did, it was really encouraging to see that response. It was incredibly, it was like a pride moment. There was a really proud moment for this program, not just me as their coach, but for them to go, hey, we said we want to do something really uniquely special, and we're taking steps to do that every single day. And so, yeah, we finish out, and again, the Mountain West Conference slate it's a gauntlet. Every single team this year has beaten, kind of had an a surprising win, or there's been an unexpected win from teams, and it's not going to stop. And so therefore every single team wants a piece of us. Every single team wants a good piece of the Lobos. And so we got to train with that mentality in mind that every single day we got to go fight for points and scratch and claw. And I think that's the excitement that I have heading into the final 6 matches or 3 weeks of play.
And with that said, just to follow up on that, how do you bottle up that fierceness and take that on the road?
Yeah, we talked this week that our theme for the week was running to discomfort, was that comfort in our gym is completely overrated, that if you're comfortable in a drill, then hey, we're not going hard enough. If you're comfortable with the score right now, you're not going hard enough. If you're comfortable with your serve, with your passing, with your setting, with your blocking, we are not pushing ourselves hard enough. And so this idea of run to discomfort, run towards it, don't run away from it. And I think if we're training on the edge of our abilities, Van, then I think that gets us there.
So part of peaking at the right time, so you're playing your best volleyball.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a piece of the puzzle that says, hey, we want to be playing our best volleyball when the best volleyball is needed. And playing against Colorado State and Wyoming absolutely are 2 of the most fiercest opponents. But now we go on the road where I don't know what it is overall, but the quality, the win-loss record of teams on the road this year, I got to think it's skewed heavily to the home side. It's skewed heavily to the home side, as it is always in sport. But this year in volleyball, it's been uniquely special with that. And so this idea of peaking, yeah, for sure, but hey, we're not close to being done. And there are some still areas of the game we want to go and develop and progress. And there's areas like Liz Woods, Freshman of the Week. Hey, she has a chance to go get it Freshman of the Week again. I mean, she is playing some of her best volleyball at the right time. And we're stoked on that. We're stoked on the fact that our offense is getting more balanced. And so there's areas of the game that even while we are feeling like, hey, we're playing better and better and better, there's still areas, hey, we still are not good enough in certain areas.
Why do you think that is, Coach, that there is such that disparity? Like, do you think it is abnormal this year, and if so, why?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a couple things that are playing into it. One, you have grad transfers, so the NCAA allowing almost 60-year players at times to be playing. I think you see 23-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. So you see teams that historically haven't always been as strong, now completely rising. You have players that I think are just better trained in the league. I think there's better coaches in the league. I think there's a lot of reasons why some of the perennial teams that have been kind of in the bottom half are now rising, and there's just better and better volleyball happening. And so, and then you add in the grad transfers, and then you add in, it's just some of the different factors of the COVID season, and now, hey, we're now into our first regular season again. It's been a unique year for that in the Mountain West for sure for volleyball.
Do you feel like the team's getting antsy for the postseason at all?
It's something we try not to make it a focal point, right? The focal point is today. Can we be really good today? Can we be really good tomorrow? Can we make sure that, hey, we continue on this path of 1%? And if we're getting better in those areas, then hey, the postseason's going to take care of itself. And the hard part is that we all have, hey, there's a goal at the end of this. There's something that we're fighting for. And I think anytime you're fighting for something, you want to keep it relevant, right? You want to keep it fresh. But at the end of the day, hey, we still got to go play two really, really good teams. We got to stay healthy. We got to stay connected. We got to keep getting better. And those are day-to-day things. Cool.
Any other questions?
Thanks, you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
It was excellent timing, Coach.
I try not to keep everybody waiting. I do every week.
Back at University Stadium, hosting UNLV. The game is at 5:06. It is homecoming, so we will have like the homecoming court. They will do all that stuff for this game. That'll be at halftime. Interesting note to this series, besides the fact that both teams called Las Vegas home last year, is the home team has lost the last 4 games of this series. So we are trying to break that streak here. Our last home win was in 2011. That was the lone win for interim head coach George Barlow. It's the last time we won a game against UNLV here in the stadium. That's the streak we're trying to beat. Obviously, we have beaten under Coach G. We have ESPN wanted to send your nugget, so I sent in the nugget that you have now ended 2 really long streaks in your tenure here. Obviously, we beat Wyoming to end a 20-game conference losing streak. The next year would beat Wyoming to end a 15-game road losing streak. So now we're going to try and end this 10-year streak of not beating UNLV here. So there you go.
Great. Great opportunity, another week to play football and get better. We had an opportunity to bye week to develop some young guys and get some guys healed up, get them healthy for Saturday. Coach Arroyo is trying to build something special at UNLV, much like we are here. He's got a vision and a plan. And the kids believe in what he's doing from watching the tape. I mean, they were down 34-0 to Nevada and fought their way back. I mean, scored 20 points to make it 51-20, which means they didn't give up, because if they give up, it would be a lot worse. So they believe in what they're doing over there. And I promise you that New Mexico was one that they put on their schedule that they can end the losing streak that they're on. And our kids have heard that all week. So it's a great opportunity to go out there and compete Saturday against a team that I know is going to be hungry for a win, since they've had opportunities. They played very competitive in every game. Iowa State got after them pretty good early in the year. And then Arizona State, the score was lopsided, but it was 14-10 at halftime. And a couple turnovers in the second half turned that game around. But they've had chances to beat UTSA. I mean, they lose by 7 there. They had a chance to beat Utah State, who's leading our side. They were down. They lost 28-24 and had a lead for the majority. San Jose State, they were up big, and San Jose State fought their way back, and they ran out of time. So they've been very competitive and had chances to win games. So we've got to go with the right mindset, because I guarantee you they're going to come in here thinking they can beat us. And like Frank said, we haven't beaten them here for 10 years. So another door, another opportunity to knock something down and keep building here. We have some young kids that you'll probably see on Saturday that in the scrimmage showed up, were physical, so we're going to try and give them a chance on some special teams and see if we can get a few extra bodies there. But it's a great opportunity. I mean, we got a beautiful stadium. Weather's supposed to be beautiful, supposed to be 70 on Saturday. with no wind, which, knock on wood, it could change instantly around here. Last week was good for multiple things. Obviously I talked about getting people healed and getting them healthy back for this week, as healthy as they can be this late in the season. We had an opportunity to go out and scour New Mexico and recruit some local kids. And then over the weekend, we sent coaches all around our footprint, Texas, California, Arizona. So we got to go see some high school kids that we're recruiting. Definitely the most important during the early on in the week. We got to go see all the local kids here in Albuquerque and throughout the state and the metro area that we could get back and forth. Go visit and spend time with the coaches. Valley High School's back in the state high school tournament. It's awesome for Coach Chavez and those guys. Obviously, Friday night's game between Cleveland and Rio Rancho was an unbelievable football game. Outstanding. And now they start the playoffs this week, which is awesome. And I want them to play that championship game here. It's obviously not a done deal, and they go back and forth all over the place. But if it's two local teams, we're not even going to charge you rent. Come play in our stadium, because I think there needs to be a tradition of football. Just like we do in the pit for the state basketball tournament. Bring everybody up here. If it's Rio Rancho and Cleveland, if they're capable of making it all the way back to the championship game, you could have one heck of a crowd here and fit more people than what they can in those two stadiums up in Rio Rancho, which are really, really nice, by the way. And there's a reason why those two teams have a significant advantage. The dedication that the Rio Rancho School District has made to football, obviously it's showing why. And those are probably the two best football programs in the state right now. Now the guys down south will argue that, and Aaron Ocampo, who's a former Lobo and teammate of mine, is doing a phenomenal job at Centennial. but come on out and play that state championship game here. I'd love it to be here in University Stadium. It's where, in my opinion, it's where it should be. So all the negotiating, all stuff can handle by Ed Manzanares, but they're welcome to come here and play that game. I can promise you that. So it's a lot of good things going on around here. Obviously, the soccer team won the championship, and they're getting ready for their tournament, and then John them doing a great job. So, there's a lot of great things going on around here. Go ahead, Van.
So you talked about everybody getting well, and what's the status as far as under center?
It'll be between Terry and Isaiah. Hopefully Terry will be able to practice. He has not practiced yet. They're still doing rehab and stuff on his arm. So we'll have a better idea tomorrow's practice of where he's at. And if he can't go, then it'll be Isaiah, and CJ and Trey will back him up. But we'll decide. We're not going to announce anything till Saturday on who's playing. But hopefully, we'll see. We'll have a better idea tomorrow as we go throughout the week.
And then just to follow up on that, as far as the week off, you said that some guys kind of showed up and stuff like that. But anybody else, did you see anything that was like, hey, that's great? You see anything else that took you off by surprise?
Well, we did some stuff. We worked on UNLV during the week early on in practice with the veteran guys. And then we sent them inside. 2 of those days we lifted, because I think it's really important to stay strong during the season. And our workouts are pretty extensive anyway. And then the young guys, we had an opportunity to go out there and see them play real football in situations. Some of those guys we'll try and use on special teams. I thought that was the bright side. But I thought the work from the older group was okay. It was good enough. The idea that it was an off week, they didn't go out there and take the day off. I got no problem starting practice over if they want to have a day off. So they understand that, and I thought we got something out of it.
When you have a bye week, schematically, do you look at things?
We do a lot of self-scout. The GAs do a really good job of making sure that our tape is broken down so that we can go over tendencies, we can go over the things that we've done. Obviously, we were different against Wyoming than what we had been in the previous games on offense. So we evaluate all that stuff to make sure that we give ourselves the best chance to win. And what we did that Saturday against Wyoming was what gave us the best chance to win in that game. And so we will continue to do that going forward. I do believe you have to have a identity of who you are. Our identity, obviously, we want to be able to run the football, which we hadn't done successfully. We did better against Wyoming. But, you get a great opportunity to see how are they scouting you and what are you doing and what can you get better. So that was a major priority.
Does that philosophy carry over to your quarterback position?
For sure. It's all 22 guys that are playing is the same philosophy. You have to decide what gives them the best chance to play you have to evaluate your team, and we do this all the time in the spring. You take your best 22 players on each side of the ball and then develop what you're going to be around those, because it changes every year. Now you have to have an identity of who you want to be as a football team, and you recruit to that. But when you're starting with a roster that you're beginning and you have to evaluate what you have to go in there with the best idea that's going to give them the best chance to be successful.
Coach, with the quarterbacks, is that something where you're comfortable waiting towards Saturday morning, Saturday, even early afternoon, or are you wanting to make a decision before that?
I'm comfortable waiting to Saturday afternoon to tell you guys. Our football team will know, and I think that's important. I do think that is important for them to know who they're going to battle with and who they're going to get in the trenches with. Like I said, that's why it'll give us a good idea after tomorrow. But they'll know, and then everybody else will find out and want to find out. Show up November 6th here in the stadium.
Coach
Henry.
You just said that you've been recruiting, get your eyes on New Mexico athletes. What do you sell them? What do you tell them presently about the positives of your program right now?
I mean, we've got one right now on our football team named Luke Wysong. He's from here, grew up here. Our past and our history here when Coach Long was the head coach and how we did it with New Mexico kids and some of those guys were our best players. And I say this all the time, you can't have nothing but New Mexico kids on your team and expect to be successful because there's just not enough people per capita here. But you can have 4 or 5 every year that are good enough to make you a really good football team and compete for championships. We did it before with a very similar model. Now, the thing that the New Mexico kids have to understand, and because we recruit so many of them, and the coaches, the high school coaches, they do a great job of understanding this. Coach Pannoni at Rio Rancho, he's just barely been here, and he gets it. Now he's been at Virginia where he coached, and then Coach Ridenour and Coach Chavez at Valley, all those guys, they understand that we offer New Mexico kids. We're still recruiting everybody else. And we have 85 scholarships, and we have 25 scholarships per year. And if you wait too long to say I'm coming, those things fill up. And as much as I love New Mexico kids and I'm going to recruit them and take the very best ones and do everything we can, we also have to recruit an entire football team to be successful. So those guys understand, and we're really very transparent to, hey, we're taking so many running backs and we have these many commitments, so those spots are filling up, and once they're gone, they're gone. And so they understand that. It's harder for New Mexico kids because high school kids want to be recruited, and especially in the social media day. And it's really nice to be wanted, and everybody gives you attention, all those things. And high school kids get so much attention through this recruiting process. And this is a great thing about recruiting in high school. And one of the things that I tell the kids all the time, it's the one time in their life that they have power, that they make the choice. People are going to come and show them, and it's just like when we talked about Dontrell last week. We write letters. We show them all the wonderful things. We talk about the education. We talk about who they're going to be around. All those things that we're selling them, and there's total transparency and honesty. We don't lie to them. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't have here that they might have other places.
But whomever you're recruiting, what's the #1 selling point right now of local football?
That we're building something special. And if you got a bunch of New Mexico kids on your team, this place is going to be full. If they play hard and you win games, that's the #1 thing. Stay home. Stay home. Understand what we're about. I mean, New Mexico is a blue-collar state. That's who we are as a football program. And that's what they want to be about. And when you have kids like Luke Wysong and Bryce Santana and those guys that are from here that are playing well, it helps. Because look how popular Luke Wysong is with the media. Look how popular Luke Wysong is in Albuquerque. And now he might be the toughest kid on our team. And what he's done as a true freshman is pretty special, so that's not a hard sell. Go ahead, Ben.
You were talking about how UNLV is trying to establish themselves. What concerns you most about that team?
They're athletic. Coach Royal's done a really good job in 2 years of putting some athletes together. And then plus, Coach Sanchez did it. They had athletes before. And now he's putting them all on the same page. Defensively, they're pretty aggressive. Offensively, now depending which quarterback plays, and Doug Broomfield has not been healthy. if he gets healthy, I mean, in the Arizona State game, he was really, really dynamic. So they're tall, they're long, they're athletic. And Coach Arroyo was at Oregon before he got to UNLV, so I think Coach Cristobal does a great job in recruiting. Coach Cristobal was obviously with Coach Saban at Alabama, so a lot of those philosophies and a lot of those beliefs and a lot of those evaluation trades go through that process. And then Coach Arroyo is very aggressive in recruiting, which is, if you want to have great players, if you want to be a great coach, you better have great players. And he's really done a good job of doing that. Where they are struggling right now is they haven't won a game yet. And like I said, the most dangerous thing about it is if you watch that Nevada game, they don't quit. They have a lot of fight. That means they believe in what he's doing. They believe in the path. And if you continuously go down that, one of them is going to break through. And so that's why we have such a great competition here on Saturday night. Go ahead, Steve.
Terry, how many days of practice will you be confident?
Well, I mean, he's still, cardiovascular-wise, he's fine. I mean, he can still ride the bike and do all those things to keep his heart going. 3 days in the offense, practicing under center, and that'll do one of two things. One, it'll show, practice, get the rust off for schematics and what he's doing there. And two, whether or not he can protect himself. If he's playing and you can see him trying to protect his arm, then he's not going to be helpful to anybody. And it's most importantly to make sure that he's healthy, and that'll give us a chance. And if he's not, then he won't play.
You update on Manny Logan?
Manny Logan is still out. He is still not cleared to practice. He's been at practice, but he's not cleared to practice, so he won't play Saturday. I hope so. We got 3 weeks left. They evaluate him every week. He's not there yet to be cleared to practice, so unless he can practice, he won't play.
As far as the bye week goes, you said some young players you might see. Is there any of those young players that stood out during practice?
Yeah, I thought we had some young DBs, Xavier Haley, Corian Francis, locally from here, Jayshon Lowry. Those guys, we've worked them in on some special teams to see if they can help us. They've got 4 games that they can still play, that they won't lose their redshirt year, and if they can give us some depth at some of those spots. Those 3 guys showed up. Larry Luna did some really good things during the week, so he's been practicing over there with the offense. There's a chance that he might serve in a backup role. Trying to think who else stood out. Those were the main ones, but they give us some added depth. And are they ready to play at this level? Probably on an every down situation, no. The 3 kids I mentioned on defense, Lowry, Haley, and Corian Francis, they're not ready to play on defense, but they can do some things athletically if they know what to do on special teams that can help. So we've worked them in practice, and they still make mistakes because the speed of practice is not even close to the speed of the game. And so the guys like Ronald Wilson, who started against UTEP, and now he's a starting safety, he has matured in those 5 games significantly. Well, those guys haven't played yet. So whether they can do it in practice, okay. And then you get out there on a game, and those guys are so fast, all of a sudden it's a whole new page. So they give us some added depth. We'll see if they get into the game on Saturday. What else?
Coach, was there a particular element of the game or a particular position group that you guys focused on more than anything else?
During the week?
Yeah.
No. It was all about developing our football team to get better. That question was based around the quarterback. The quarterback reps were the same. Terry didn't take any, but between Isaiah and CJ, and then we mixed in Trey on certain things. Those were that position. In the secondary, on defense, it was 1s and 2s. On offense, it was 1s and 2s. And then when those young guys showed up, we try and give them opportunities. And then it's amazing when you go from going against the guys that are playing on Saturday, when you haven't been going against those guys, how fast all of a sudden you show up in a young scrimmage and then you give them a rep with the 1s versus 1s and they're lost. So, that's not surprising. I think it's surprising to them. Because they think they're ready for it, and then all of a sudden it happens and they're not. So, but like I said, added depth because of athletic ability, that's a positive.
Coach, I've seen nearly every Lobo home game played here. I've seen electrifying runners, game breakers. I mean, they can stop on a dime, start, and fly to the end zone. Game breakers. Who is your game breaker right now?
Well, right now on offense, it's been Luke Wysong. I mean, obviously you've seen what he can do on punt returns. I mean, he was one block away from taking one home against Wyoming. He had the one out here the last time we were here against Colorado State. So, I mean, he obviously has some juice and has something to him. I think Aaron Dumas has the potential to be that. He's had a couple of slightly missed tackles where he's been tackled by a shoestring, where he's got the opportunity to do some of those things. Obviously, Terry early on, I mean, had some explosive runs. So we've got a few. We need more. And when 22 up on that board, that's exactly who you're talking about. He could stop on a dime, cut, get vertical, and every time you touched it, there was a chance it was going to go to be an 80-yard touchdown or a 60-yard touchdown. When we were here before, we had a young man by the name of Quincy Wright that did those things. I mean, he touched it and shoot, he was scary. Jarrell Presley and Terrion Gibson, every time they touched it, there was a chance that thing was going to pop for a touchdown. So there's been some great runners around here, and we need to go out and recruit and find more of them.
Anything else?
Coach, I know you played for Gary Patterson.
I did.
And what did you make of that situation?
Well, I will say this. Coach Patterson is an unbelievable football coach. And if you look at the history of TCU football, they'd been to 17 bowls before he got there. He was sitting 17 of his 20 years being the head coach. They finished in the top 10 in the country under his regime. When you're somewhere for 20 years, and I was taught this a long time ago, and Coach Long is, I mean, there's Coach, I think Mac Brown's the one who said it. You lose 10% of support every year you're someplace because they get tired of hearing your voice. They get tired of hearing the same thing. And unless you're winning championships, it's real easy to think that there's always something better. Obviously, he did an amazing job there. And they've struggled the last couple of years in some people's eyes. So there was enough people, enough support that had heard that voice for 20 years and wanted something new. That's okay. New doesn't mean better, but sometimes in people's eyes, new is better. If you're winning championships, they don't care. They'll listen to anything you have to say. People get tired of me hearing if we don't win championships. We're going to win a championship, and then they'll still get tired of me eventually, but that's okay. That means they care. And if you have enough people that care and you have enough support, I mean, our gala last Friday night, we raised over $400,000. It was awesome in a couple-hour event. So that means there's money to be had around here. There's people that are willing to give it too. And they did on that night, and that was all to support our student athletes. I mean, we can be special around here, and I say it a lot. I'm not afraid to ask for money. I'm not afraid to ask for people to give stuff. I will never ask for personal gain. But for this athletic department and this university, I'll ask for anything and everything, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take everybody around here to be special like we want to be. And people in the community want to be good really bad. Well, we just need enough people to step up and help. And stepping up doesn't mean pouring your wallet out only. Step up by buying a ticket and showing up, buying food in the concession stands, buying parking. Do your part. That's your part. It can be a little part, but that little part adds up. Show up to soccer games. Fill the pit for basketball games. I mean, we get the majority of our resources from our football TV contract. Well, the better we make this place, guess what? The better it is for basketball. The better it is. I mean, we talk, and I give Coach Pitino a hard time all the time. We've got an unbelievable fan base around here. I'm one of them now. I'm one of the basketball people that complains that, you know what? We've never been to the Sweet 16. You would think we won a Final Four. We hosted a Final Four that the Wolfpack won, and people think that's us. We haven't been there yet. Now, I have all the belief in the world that Coach Pitino is going to get us to the Sweet 16. I just had that same belief when Coach Alford was here. Had that same belief when Coach Weir was here. I believe because I want them to be successful, and I'm willing to do my part to help them be successful. I'll be at every single basketball game. Doesn't matter what people say to me about what we did in football. We're going to continue to get better in football, but I'm going to be there and support them. That's how this place can be special. Everybody do their part. Buy a ticket, show up, buy merchandise, and then this place will continue to grow and be better and better and better. So, go ahead, Robert.
Opposite side of the spectrum, we asked you about a coach that's been there a really long time. I want to ask about a coach like Matt Wells.
Yep.
And I know it's what have you done for me lately, but is it unrealistic, the expectations that are placed on coaches in such a short time to do something right now and not being given a true opportunity to have success?
Well, I think you have to look at the places you're at. I think Matt Wells is one unbelievable football coach. And what he did at Utah State obviously afforded him the opportunity to be the head coach at Texas Tech. Matt Wells 3 years ago at Utah State was an 11-win football team. And Coach Anderson came in and the first year kept that going. Now they struggled last year, but they have a talented football team because of the kids that Coach Matt Wells recruited. I mean, Coach Anderson, Blake is a really good friend of mine, and they did a great job recruiting with some of the transfers and stuff. But there was talent there. It's how come Matt Wells got the Texas Tech job. I'm sure that when Matt Wells and Kirby Smart sat down and talked about building a program, I'm sure they talked about it not being in 3 years, because I know Coach Wells was very upset with the decision that they made. Well, sometimes those decisions are out of your hands when people with money can afford to do that. When I interviewed with Eddie and President Stokes and David and everybody, I laid out my plan. This is not a 2-year fix. It's not a 3-year fix. You have to recruit classes in order to build a championship program here. If New Mexico had been playing for championships, then you know what? You're in a different class. When this program was taken over in 2008, there was plenty enough talent to compete for championships, because we did. From 02 to 08, we competed for championships. We got a quarterback hurt. We're 4-4. We beat San Diego State 70-7. The same San Diego State team that we won 3 championships with in a 5-year period. I mean, they had a bunch of talent there, and that's why it was fixed. So if you want to be a great coach, you need great players. I don't know what happened at Texas Tech, why they weren't as successful as those people wanted. I know Matt had them going in the right direction, and Matt's a really good football coach, and Matt will have an opportunity to coach somewhere else. But the administration has to be behind a plan. The administration has to be strong enough to hold that plan. And that's why we're really fortunate to be here with Eddie and David and President Stokes, because they believe in what we're doing. And if you believe if you have a plan, you can't bail on a plan because you have peaks and valleys in it. As long as the plan is keep going, you always have to adjust it. And that's what I've had people ask me, is winning these last 4 games, do you build for the future and not worry about it, or do you play? No. Building for the future means trying to win the next 4 games. We have a ton to play for. Our kids have a ton to play for. There's still a lot out there. But if we don't beat UNLV, it doesn't matter. If we don't win the next one, it doesn't matter. The next one doesn't matter. But as you get better and you develop, just like the bye week, you're building on that vision and on that plan of why I was hired. I mean, I believe in it. We're going to win a championship around here. And if we don't, they'll fire me just like they did Matt. And if it's after 3 years, they're crazy. If it's after 5, then okay. Then we'll see. And if you go back to the history of this place that has had really good teams, Dennis Francione started here in 1991. In 1997, they played for the WAC championship. Bill Weeks started here in 1957. In 1962, they won a conference championship. Coach Long started here in 1998, where, I mean, we were not very talented, and I was a part of that. In 2002, 2003, 2004, we were competing for the Mountain West Conference Championship in a Mountain West Conference that had Utah, BYU, TCU, Boise. 5 years, after 5 years, if you build it and recruit right and don't go 20 JC kids, then you've got a chance to build something if you evaluate right. If you don't evaluate right, you're going to get beat. If you want to be a great coach, get great players. And so, do I agree with what they did to Matt? No, I don't. But I'm not the administration. I don't make those decisions. I know the people I work for. I know the plan that was placed before Eddie and David and President Stokes. And the best thing you can have is a strong administration that believes in that when you're doing this stuff, and they do. So that's what I'm glad I'm here. That kind of answer? sorry, I get a little bit fired up.
They had all that.
That's exactly right. I mean, yeah, Jerry Tarkanian, they're winning championships now. Everybody expects it. Lon Kruger, I mean, they did a great job. He got the Oklahoma job out of it. Now his son's there. I mean, there's tradition there. And if you get, and now in basketball, you can get a couple guys and it changes everything dramatically. Football's a little bit harder just because 22 guys are on the field at the same time. So I'm not a basketball coach either. I like giving Richard a hard time because I'm one of those crazy Lobo fans that expects them to win the Final Four every year. He hates me for saying that, and it's Richard's going to do it. He's doing a great job. I mean, I'm excited about. I mean, shoot, they're a couple Saturdays away from playing Colorado on the road. Pac-12 team that's been in the NCAA tournament, so a heck of a deal. And he's going to build something. It may not be this year, but he's going in the right direction, and they have great players. I mean, I was at Arizona State when Jalen House was there. Jalen House is a great basketball player. Well, you need great players if you want to be a great coach.
Anything else?
Awesome. Thanks, guys.